Couple months, summer, we were knocked out.
It didn't seem like it slowed her down much though.
Lisa, I don't know.
And
if
her
I-
laying down.
There's you're speaking.
Oh,
When you get up to speak. Oh, cool. Oh, this is gonna be good. It's just. You are such a good speaker.
okay, guys, ready? Good. Welcome to the December 2024 meeting. And let's see, I'm wondering if we just do some quick introductions. We have our new council member. And I'm not sure he knows everybody, but let's start.
Carol Winter.
Dana Mulder, I've been on pre-board for 2.5 terms. Kathy,
Kathy Leo. I'm still in my first year on the tree board.
Henry Cruzel. This is my first time on the tree board, first year.
And Henry, you're a student at the high school?
Yes.
Yes, great.
We're the token boys on this committee.
hi. Well, we got Toma now, so
Yep.
yeah, but you're right, it's kind of been like that. Good, Victor, would you like to do a roll call?
Yep, I'll do it. Carol Leonard,
Yes.
Kathy Leo,
Yes.
Dan Mulder,
Yes.
Tom Graham,
Yes,
and student representative Henry Gazelle.
Yes.
All right, so we do have quorum with 4 voting members here.
Great. And do we have anybody on Zoom today, Victor? Doesn't look like
Nope, this is about our average attendance.
it. Yes, it is. Sandra, thank you, Lisa.
Oh, these.
Attending, yes. Okay, did folks get a chance to look at the meeting minutes? Kathy? Yes. Okay. Yep. Good, and any corrections or comments? Good, all those in favor? please say aye.
We need a, let's do a motion to make that. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
all right.
Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Victor, board communications this month?
No, I don't think so. Okay, for you guys.
There were some trees removed up on Lake Street, is that right?
There have been quite a bit of trees removed along our electrical system.
Clearing the lines.
Yeah, so, that is something we don't usually
Right.
do here at tree board, we do it for other reasons, but, we sent out letters to all the property owners who have lines that go through their property. You probably would have seen it in Brian's, maybe. Yeah. There's a tree or two there, but anyway, so we send out letters to all the property owners that have our lines that we're trimming, so they know.
Just curious, did you get any comments back?
No, we got a couple questions about small shrubs, small trees, and what we tell people is that we don't like even small trees there because they're gonna grow and then it costs us more money to trim them when they're bigger, to remove them when they're bigger. And then we also need to get our vehicles. So when I'm talking about our main transmission line, so that goes from Clayton Road up to through the backs of the properties to Bester Road, then goes through Bester Road down kind of to Hoyt, Custer properties, whatever. It follows along the route, but that's like, we need like 40 feet wide easement. We have 40 feet wide, so we try not to
Like a
have
truck
any.
in.
I'm curious, Victor, what happens to the trees that get?
They get mulched,
You get mulch?
yeah, chipped.
Okay, and used in the city?
Yeah, usually they get taken to our dump. Corners,
Okay,
or, yeah.
That's what they.
okay.
And we don't really deal with replacing trees that come out.
Not
As
on
part of this
electrical
effort.
line. If they're removed for electrical line system, they're not. It's because we don't want trees in the way of our line.
Typically.
Yeah, in our transmission lines. Now, if you have, like here on our smaller streets, that might be the distribution lines. We do have a right tree, right place, program we put in place that, we try not to plant trees that are over 10, 15, 20 feet, depending on how the line is, but our transmission lines, we need to be able to work and access those, so. There's a lot of different rules for that too. And the problem is what people don't like, especially property owners, is we'll come and then we'll trim half the tree and then the tree looks like a stick on one side and bush on the other side, and they don't like that either because it's the way it looks. like you're taking half the tree
It's
off.
still so surprising to me that people are having comments about the trees in front of Big Bluffs, because that's exactly what would have happened
Yeah.
and.
It would have looked much worse. Yeah.
Much worse.
So,
And then they become unsafe.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Lisa, do you have any public comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question about that. So do they go around then? Because I've noticed down by me, we have, you know, the smaller electrical lines that are still above ground. And a couple properties to the east of me, it looks like a few of her branches are like laying on those lines. Do they go around periodically and check for the, you know?
they do, our guys are out quite regularly, so I wonder if the lines you're talking about, what else be like AT&T or Spectrum
Oh,
too?
a different.
Yeah, there's, but so our guys, but they do go around regularly. And
Yeah.
if you suspect it's on a line, let us know.
Yeah, cause you'd hate for the snow to get on
Yeah.
that branch and then to pull that line down or
Right.
something. Okay, yeah, no, I don't have anything else right now.
Sounds good. Let's move on to discussion items. First one being the map, city owned property and priority areas having to do with the vegetation management.
Okay, so last time, remember, you read through the minutes, we had talked about creating vegetation management plans for city-owned property, and then prioritizing them. And we talked about 3 different types of city-owned property, basically. One is parks, the other was natural areas, I believe, the other was buildings and grounds. So what we have in the map you see on the screen, what we don't have on this map is our city right-of-ways highlighted. And so that includes the viewing platform on the Bluff Drive. So that is city property, but that is a right-of-way. It's just it's one of the few right-of-ways that is not a street. It's actually not paved. So
Yeah, and I guess city boulevards would fall into, obviously, you're not gonna do the whole
Yeah.
map with them, but that
Yeah.
would be a category as well.
Do alleys fall in there?
no, alleys and so right-of-way streets, alleys are not in our.
But they're city owned.
Yes, but they're not, when we were talking about this, we were looking at, properties that we could have vegetation
Okay.
management plans for. And so let's just kind of take the map, because I haven't labeled them, but I can kind of show you where things are at, so you guys are kind of.
We back up just for a second.
Yeah,
I'm
but-
sorry. But we do want to address street trees, vegetation management as part of this plan, I would think. It could be its own category or,
I believe we have a policy already in place for when someone wants to request vegetation trimming of street trees.
yeah, I guess I was thinking of our plans, if we're taking it over, what are our plans? for
But don't we already
vegetation
have,
management?
don't we already have the street tree plan? that
We have the street tree plan, but remember, we didn't address maintenance and that we said that was a step.
All right, well, I guess I'm a little. I guess we need clarification there, because I thought the point was to look at primarily parcels of property that we have to create a vegetation management plan. Because streets, we have 12 miles of streets, and creating a vegetation management plan for that would be difficult. That's be time consuming.
It could be done, yeah, again, we wouldn't identify every tree, but I think it would be important to have a plan in place, for monitoring for health and safety, aesthetics, etc. I don't know, what does everybody else think about that? Should that be part of the vegetation management plan or
Yeah,
another animal together?
maybe it's the last priority, because we have a street tree planting plan. So that we want to see more trees on. I'm thinking somewhere like Glen Drive right here, right? It's our right of way contains so many trees in there. I don't know. I'm just a little cautious
We're
of.
not looking at individual trees as part of this plan though, right? We're looking at policies.
So we have a lot of,
We'll come back to it.
yeah,
Let's just.
I just felt, my personal opinion, I thought we had a street tree plan for planting. Going into removals on streets might be a little difficult. Because this is about vegetation, creating a plan for parcels.
Yeah, and I guess my feeling would be that we need to manage all the trees in city property, not just parcels. So why don't we come back to it? Let's keep going for right now.
It's a lot of work, Dana.
It as a separate entity.
So these are the parcels that we do own. Starting from on the left of your screen. All right, very top here, where my arrow is at, can you see that? Yes, so that is where we have our well. And it's also one of the proposed locations we talked about a few years ago about having Christmas trees planted there. For example, like pine trees and spruce trees, because while we do have people who donate every year, can be very cumbersome to bring those trees from miles away with our DPW electric guys. So we had this idea that we could plant trees, maybe not even just Christmas trees, but trees that we want to see elsewhere in the city and have that as a tree farm. So that's a mostly empty lot right there, with the well.
That's off of Puffer.
That's off of Puffer, yeah, we have the Puffer well. If we go south a little bit along the bluff,
We're coming in that Parks has, for a few years now, been discussing, community gardens. And that was a possible location because there would be water supply there.
I would call that, this property more of like a buildings and grounds property / natural area. It's not a park. And we have some infrastructure out there.
Would that be to say that we couldn't do something like?
No,
that?
no, I just want, if we want to categorize, we have three different types of
Oh,
land. We have, because park land is gonna be squarely within the park's purview, whereas buildings and grounds and natural areas aren't quite determined. All right, so south of that, where my arrow is now, this is city-owned bluff property, so that's gonna be west of Ann, I believe. Basically between Peffer and Ann.
Yeah.
That's that big parcel. Then we have a small parcel where the morgue is located. It's no longer a morgue, but it's used to be the morgue, and we basically, it's a storage building for extra supplies.
really interesting.
Wait,
I
where
didn't
is
know
that?
So this small parcel right here, right next to the, well, so it's come off of Bull Moose Run.
Bull Moose,
Yeah,
yeah,
Bull Moose Run.
okay.
So this is technically the bluff parcel that we own, and then the rest of this is owned by the Conservancy.
Right.
Isn't there a pumping station or something further west?
Yeah,
Down on the base there, as Bull Moose comes into Fourth,
yes.
where those two little lines are.
That's still city property or no?
So what we have here is, this is our most forested
I
parcel.
don't think we're seeing the cursor. on the
No,
screen.
we can't.
There
we are. Yep. Need to get that pointer.
This would be our most wooded lot, I would say, parcel that we have aside from Kiwanis. So this has right now probably currently the most trees on it. And even though it's a bluff parcel, it's the one we've seen in historically the least amount of requests for trimming, because the view of the bay is not directly this way, it's directly this way. So these homeowners on the bluff, tend to want to look this way. Now, we do have 2 management requests there that are already fulfilled. So that's good, but right here, this part, we usually don't get, this half of it, we usually don't get many requests. It's usually these property owners going this way.
And I feel like there was a major tree removal project.
Yeah.
Before,
There was
right
two-
around when you came in, I think.
Yeah, there was a couple. Then you go south, we have this big parcel right here, in this southern Crandall flat. That's kind of like a water retention area. There's some woods, there's some open field on there. It's pretty natural, a little swampy, yeah. And then we got our Indian Town Park across there on Second Street. So that's really what our properties west of State Street, I kind of want to say. Well, not State Street, but this thing is, sorry, this map is being finicky. All right. So west of Traverse Street, that's really our city-owned property. So not a whole lot, but there's basically a few natural areas there and buildings and grounds. we get to, let's go back to the north of town. This big green one is Kiwanis Park. But it's technically two different parcels. There's one slither of a parcel that we've cut off. That's where our water towers are on. So it's a separate, technically a separate parcel for city infrastructure. As you all know, Kiwanis is a mix of uses between disc golf, forested land, and some trails, as well as area for dumps, former dumps. So it's quite a large swath of land. To the south of that, kind of southwest, these are two buildings we use for DPW. Well, one plot is for storage, just for DPW equipment, and the other is a DPW building and storage. 2 years ago, we did tree plantings around DPW building as part of an Arbor Day Fest. This other green spot, kind of by Fairview Plaza, well, by the middle school on State Street, that's the fire station. We own the land, the fire authority leases it from us. There's really not a whole lot of open land on that as parking lot. I think there's a well or something there, but maybe some sort of infrastructure. Going south, we have a couple more DPW, city-owned lots. One is, I feel retention, I don't know, retention area, water retention area. The other two, I'm not exactly sure. But they're natural, there's no buildings on them. This is along Lake Street and Spring Street. If we're staying above the bluff, there is another parcel. I'm not quite, I have to ask Lucas what this one is for. I think it just might be part of the shade drain that we own, a city-owned parcel here. You see my arrow right here. I have to double check on that one. And this then, if you go toward Hoyt Street, that is the shade drain, scenic view.
So the Shea Overlook Park is part of that.
Yeah. And that's where we do have a request, an active permit for trimming of that one. Then to the east of that is our parks, Baseball Diamonds, Cosequat Playground, our skate park, pickleball, Arbor View Park. And this triangle parcel right here was one of the originally proposed locations for the substation. It's basically a wooded lot. It joins two different parks. You have the school parks in the county on the east of it, and then you basically have the Lake Road, and then city park. So it's between residential and it's a vacant lot. And so that's one of our other major wooded parcels that has nothing else. We do have, you see along Main Street, let's go to Main Street, you'll see quite a few small green parcels, and these aren't empty parcels. One of them is a historical museum that they lease from us. So there's the Andrew J. Blackbird. You have just a couple more city-owned spots, parking lots, etc. So you have the Spring Street parking lot, you have a parking lot behind Gurney's, you have parking lot on the intersection of State and State and 3rd, across from the Legion. So those are city parking lots and buildings. Go south of Main Street, now you have the Shea Park and you have your Merchants Walkway area in downtown.
Blackbird.
Yeah, Blackbird's. So Blackbird is one, we have a few trees on there. It's actually critical because that's a historic building, and was it 3 years ago, 2 years ago, one of the neighbors' trees fell on the Blackbird. And we asked them to remove, well, one of their huge branches fell on the Blackbird. We asked them to remove it. They wouldn't, so we paid. They would let us know. We paid for it. They didn't want to split the cost. But, so that's another thing we have to remember. Some of our infrastructure could be threatened by trees that aren't even on our property. So, all right. And then of course, along the waterfront, this is where we have waterfront parks, Zorn Park, both north and south of of Bay Street, that's mostly open grass, open land. A lot, same thing with the beach. You know, Marina Park is pretty much open. I don't think maybe there's one tree total. And then we call it the Child's Park. Yeah, next to that along the shoreline where the marina's at. There's a few trees there, a few park areas, benches and tables. Ford Park is, keep on going east. And nothing until you get to Zoll, where you have all the city property. Jean Jardine Park, of course, right here where my cursor is. Then City Hall and Police Station along Main Street. This part of the is going east more. That's the Ottawa Stadium and parking lot. We own that. We lease it out to the city. I mean, sorry, the school. It's probably another 70, 80 years on that lease. It's a long-term lease. Then if you go a little further east, it's technically outside the city limits, but this is all wooded parcels. The state did have to do a culvert repair for flood risk mitigation. So you'll see a kind of a empty area where they planted a bunch of small, like maybe like small seedling trees that are there. So that's just outside the property. Sorry, outside the city limits. Sorry, guys. So we have I'm gonna say four lots that are really wooded. I'll repeat them again. The Bluff. Okay, I'll say five. Here's the ones I'll tell. One is the Bluff Drive, all the way on West Bluff. That parcel is really wooded. Second is Kiwanis Park. That's a very wooded parcel. 3 is the Shea Scenic Park. That's wooded. 4 is the park, the wooded lot between the parks at Cossaquat and the schools up here. Where the substation was gonna go. So that's wooded lot, parks. I think that's on Lake and on Lake Street. And then finally, the parcel that's outside the city limits here on the eastern end, along M119. Those are our wooded lots.
Thanks for doing this. This is a good graphic here. Yeah.
And then we do have like the retaining lots that are natural areas, but those aren't really as wooded. So this gives you an idea, yeah, of what our city-owned property looks like. So I would, my thing based on our conversation last time is these 5 ones are the main ones that we want to focus on first because they're the most heavily wooded. And to have some sort of policy or management plan, 2 or 3 of them get requests. We haven't had really a lot of requests for the one for the former substation. Sorry, that's where the substation was going to be located. Yeah, the triangle. That's what we should call it. Triangle. Keep on saying former substation. The triangle lot. That's a good one. And Kiwanis, yeah, we haven't had that many requests, but there's a lot of activity at Kiwanis. And Kiwanis is both natural and parks. There's also infrastructure with the towers and the dumps there. So it's more of a multi-use city property. Yeah, so that's just my suggestion. If you guys want to take it from there.
I had one thing that I think could be helpful in this. And maybe it's defining some criteria for decision making. Like, to me, health and safety of the public would be number 1, which might shoot you more towards parks and making sure that the trees in the parks are safe and so forth. Then health and safety of our urban forest, and that's really everywhere. So that'd be the wooded areas and the parks. And then maybe number 3 is aesthetics.
Yeah, I think in the minutes we talked about the criteria.
Okay. I have a very short memory of these.
So when we talked about the goals for the effort, which include health and safety, aesthetics, user experience, diversification of urban canopy, and then public outreach. So
And so though, is part of our effort today, though, prioritizing the areas.
Yeah, so I think we
I
can,
think we should keep those things in mind. when
yeah,
we're doing-
exactly, that's what I'm saying, those are the goals we should keep in mind, in prioritizing things. So aesthetics, user experience, health and safety are the primary, and diversification of trees.
And so are we getting down to the level of what the activities might be, like removals, pruning, planting new trees, or are we just identifying areas right now?
The first, everyone has a different idea. I think the first goal is to really look at what do we want these to look like, you know, and we, for example, do we want, do we need, should the focus on a particular piece of lot be views, or should it be more about diversification or user experience? For example, Kiwanis Park, I'll just throw it out there, there's not gonna be a whole lot of views questions per se, or issues about Kiwanis Park. It's more about user experience and diversification
Safety,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe on the Bluff and Shea Scenic Park, there's gonna be more, you know, aesthetics and views is probably gonna take a little more
Residency.
priority. And maybe even on the eastern portion of M119, I haven't gone there to actually pay attention to see what the views are like from there. But now with it trimmed, with the state removed all those trees, I recall there being it's a pretty wide open view. You can see Wequatansi below it. So
Triangle.
yeah, well, that's another one. The triangle I've never had a request to trim trees in the triangle.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Oh.
so the view was from the city property?
Yeah, so when you're on M119 going east here on the lower, the state removed a bunch of trees around here, or maybe it was right here for a flood mitigation. And so this is city owned, and it's pretty heavily treated, but it slopes down quite a bit. And you can see now there's a good swath where you have a good vision of Weequay and potentially the water from there. And so this is one of those areas. Is this something that we want to, trim for or manage for views, or is it really, do we really get that many? The reason we don't get requests is because there's no houses there.
Mhm.
I mean, there's no houses there for it. But if you're looking at, we're not talking about individual views, we're talking about public views. Is there a
Victor,
reason?
there's really no place to park along there, is there?
No, it's more so if you're driving in and you wanna,
Well, tourist park, I guess.
tourist park, yeah, up here by the,
Yeah. But in the,
but you can't walk, you can't walk here basically without, there's nowhere you're gonna park right here.
exactly,
steep, yeah.
so I don't know that we would
When I encourage it.
exactly encourage it just for driving safety. Oh, look,
I have a
maybe I'm
question.
speaking for myself.
Yes, ma'am.
At Ford Park, along the Irish building where the kayak racks are, some of those trees are getting really big
Yeah.
there. And especially they have a lot of root structure that's coming up through the ground. And I'm wondering if that needs to be kind of looked at, maybe for safety when people are trying to get their kayaks and stuff. And maybe there's a few that need to be out or need to,
That was
maybe
under
to be looked
discussion
at. And that
relative
would
to
be
Ford
one of
Park,
the
yeah, we
parks
did.
that do have trees that might, because a lot of them don't, like the beach and things like that, but that would be one of the parks maybe that need to be looked at, those trees on.
As Dana mentioned, yeah, we do actually, because it's been brought up a few times that the original idea of putting those trees there was you want to have a screen of the Irish Boat Shop building for the park. And then they were planted so close to the building, and these trees got so big now that the root structure and everything is kind of interfering with the building and with. So we have had some preliminary talks about removing those trees or planting smaller new ones more further away from the building. But we haven't really got into more detail there. So that is a
Okay,
good,
just what's on
that's a
the
good
list
point.
here.
It is, yeah.
So Kathy, you were saying that maybe trimming for here for views is not the greatest idea, because do you really want people? I see your point, because if you're driving the Bluff Drive, you're going pretty slow. You're going 15, 20 miles, like if you're on East Bluff
Mhm.
and you're soaking it all in, there's not a lot of traffic, but there's between 40 and 50 miles per hour. Tom, do you have any thoughts? So,
I'm for sure gonna do nice coming in from the west bluff, you look at the harbor coming down.
and those are slightly slower speed limits, but
The view where they fixed that little creek there. It's very nice now.
maybe one of the things we can do is just ourselves take a drive by, or maybe one day when you guys are going, just look at what it looks like to you.
It looks really nice now.
Okay,
I just don't know how important it is to.
But I agree with you from a
to
priority
keep it.
perspective
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I don't
so
know
that's
how important
lower up priority, that
Do
one.
you think we should like assign priority 1, 2, 3 or something like that? Just so this is somehow organized or,
Okay, maybe it's
You know what I
easier,
mean?
we can get through it quicker if we do it that way.
it is.
yeah,
High, medium, low.
High, medium, low, yeah, let's do high, medium.
okay.
All right, let's start with this, property we were just talking about, M19.
Tourist park managing for views. I know Lucas did do some trimming like what, a couple years ago. But I think that, well, I don't know.
Well, tourist park is different than, I know it showed as one parcel.
Are we doing it by parcel though, or are we?
Let's break it down, because you can break down tourist park as a separate,
Okay,
yeah. So M119 east of the property, we do have, this is where it gets tricky. This is wetland right here. Basically, it's wooded, but it's wetland. This is the Weekly's tennis courts. This is the Conservancy's nature preserve, which is basically wetland there. City Hall, Ottawa Stadium, tourist park. Outside the city limits, city owned though. So, you know, right here, would you say this is low priority?
yes.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, we could call that east.
outside city limits,
Yeah.
yeah, east M119. East M119, outside limits.
And I think if you look at tourist park, that's where it gets a little tricky because I think views are important, but is health and safety, you know, at other parks. Seems like health and
User-
safety always is gonna trump.
Well, it's also user experience, because a lot of people pull out there to picnic and they meander through there. I mean, you always see a car parked at tourist park. There's always someone having their lunch,
Yeah,
or just
as far
standing
as
out.
views go, I would say it's number one, but I guess in my mind, views are not more important than health and safety.
So let's get back to, I guess, the original goal at what we're talking about. Carol and Kathy said like high, medium, low priority.
Yeah,
Overall, then we can get into the weeds, but overall, is it a high, medium, or low for vegetation management? Tourist park.
I'd say medium.
Yeah.
I should have gone
Medium is
last.
fair.
That doesn't matter who goes. Tom, Henry,
I agree.
medium, okay. All right. Ottawa Stadium, we can leave that one off because it's school, man, there's really nothing there. This parcel right here, City Hall, Police Station, Spillway. There's a few trees there, but here, as you can tell, not a whole lot.
Right at this moment in time, I don't know, do you guys think it's lower priority? As trees will get bigger and all that kind of thing.
And we already planted some trees around here a couple, 3 years ago.
Yeah, we do. All right, we can put a low for that one.
Okay.
Jean Jardine Park. It's obviously, as you know, that's a wide open area for the most part. So I imagine that would be low
That'd be
Yeah,
low.
for vegetation. Okay. How about Shea Scenic right above?
I think that's low just because we don't know what's happening there yet. Other thoughts?
We've had, members of the public come and talk to us about that. They have taken care of it in the
Yeah,
past.
that aspect.
They
of
have
it. Right,
concerns
right, right.
about it.
Yeah, I was thinking more about,
It's a very small little neighborhood sort of park, but
It's been.
it's been neglected, I think, for a long time.
What's your vote, tree board?
medium, medium.
Medium?
At least.
Our parks, we kind of can split this a little bit. You have Riverview Park in the corner here. The rest is pretty much, well, there's some trees by the playground, but you got the baseball diamonds there, which kind of are the majority of it.
There is a plan that'll be implemented in the spring where some of the trees from Shea Park will be moved up there. That's the plan right at the moment,
So,
to open up the
So
open
along
space.
Demers property.
Near
Demers
there,
property.
yeah, 30
Yep.
feet in, but just to make that open space a little more.
so is that low, medium,
I'd say that's medium.
Yeah, I'd say medium.
Riverview?
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to, I mean, that's a potentially a beautiful park.
It is.
There isn't
Yeah.
much shade
That's
there.
true.
You know, when we play baseball.
You wanna make it high? What do you guys?
But,
I wasn't really aware of it until we had Arbor Day there. And it was such a delightful
It's
space.
lovely,
I
yeah.
was so impressed, and there's tons of parking.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
it might be a nice,
and there's a beautiful garden club.
There is.
On the camping house.
You wanna move it to high then?
No, I do want irrigation there, but.
Pardon me?
You're gonna be moving the trees from shade there within the next year, so.
Yeah,
So that probably
so the
is high.
fact that it's high would merit moving trees there as opposed to
There you
someplace
go.
else, I guess.
yeah.
And then there's the triangle piece up here. Completely wooded. Um,
But that is low.
low.
Well, yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna skip our main street buildings that have. The Historical Society Museum, there's not a whole lot there.
Mhm.
Shea Park. Is,
Well, we're actually removing trees. So I don't know what that priority that makes it. I would say low, maybe. The park's high priority, but adding trees or.
By the parks.
They're mostly,
That's what I was thinking.
they're new trees.
A lot of activity there, and we want to draw people there, but that's mostly parks.
Yeah, and maybe are we just saying at this
overseeing.
moment in time, you know, most of the trees there, tree board put in 5 or 6 years ago. So they're not needing a lot of work or replacement, so.
yeah, low. Low. About Ford Park.
I think the problem with Ford Park is it's up in the air. What do you think, Lisa?
I guess I would put a low on it for right now, but it's something I think the committee should go, just take a look at. Go
How
around.
about medium then?
Well, I wonder, yeah, or can we just say hi on those trees next to Irish?
But I don't think there's anything else really down there that
Yeah.
would need to be
There's
done.
a few big trees, that's
Yeah.
it, some willows.
Right.
Could we just highlight that one project, maybe taking those trees out and replacing smaller things? Or just taking
Yeah,
them?
we'll put we know what, we'll put a
Yeah,
note
yeah,
there.
okay.
Ford Park.
Child's Park, which is along Bay Street. Before you get to Marina Park.
I think that's high priority to take care of those mature trees. That would be my opinion.
Certainly gets a lot of visitation.
Marina Park doesn't have much.
Yeah, we talk about it at Parks Board and it's, we're kind of split on it. Some of us would like to add a few more trees for shade, but others just like it always.
Tom, thoughts on Marina Park adding trees or?
I like trees.
Medium?
The area, the kids,
It is a
that
big area.
gets used, especially on the music nights.
That's the part is we're planting the tree specifically so they don't interfere with.
Right.
With
Yeah.
the activity there.
Yeah, as
User
you said,
experience.
there's one big tree there, so we were thinking of adding a couple more, maybe just so there's a little
Along
shade
the
and grows
edges.
if you do, yeah.
Zorn Park, north and south. I would break them up in two different pieces, kind of.
Sure. Thoughts? Let's start with North.
Yeah, north, there's a gazebo, well, not gazebo, but the covered air fountain, covered fountain, and there's a couple trees in the park.
Well, actually, I think tree board, and again, this was probably like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, put in small trees kind of in from the two sides, but we can't really do much more because that's where all the cars get parked at the car show.
And for the art festival.
Yeah, the art,
And the
yeah.
festival,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Right,
low,
towards it, So there's quite a few trees there. If you want to get in the shade, you can pull the picnic tables.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think that would be low on the north side.
Is that good?
how about the south side?
South side, and again, people are split on that. I like trees, as Tom said, and I like the opportunities for shade. So the trees that are there are all in some level of decline, and Ben did go trim them, I think, last year, right? But I would put that as high. this is getting back to, do we want to have like some trees getting started for when those do have to be taken out?
Yeah.
That's probably our most visited part. What do you
Exactly.
think, Tom?
Yeah.
At the
Okay.
beach, do you think,
I like the trees along the streets best.
yeah,
I'm just trying to picture it, that's my
But see,
hesitation,
then,
but yeah. it should be
other
that.
people just want all sun, no trees, so,
Yeah, I kind of need both.
Yeah.
We've heard it from both these.
so maybe it's high and that we want to take care of the trees we have. We don't want to lose them all and we need to plan for the future.
We are gonna put garden,
Yes.
the garden club is too.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, right around the flagpole.
All right, then way down west of Second Street is Indian Town Park. Obviously, they just put in the tribe just put in their complex there. I don't know what the Parks Board is intentions with Indian Town Park at this point.
That's probably gonna be a year off, in terms of Parks Board priorities, and the capital improvement plan anyways. A lot of big mature trees there, so I think it would be nice to just go in and do a sweep and see what needs pruning and that kind of thing, so I don't, medium, yeah.
It's probably one that we don't go too often.
Not,
It's
it has
included.
regular maintenance on that one.
Right, but I think going through and looking at it, make sure there's not a lot of big branches down, just kind of cleaning it up maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's.
Mhm.
And what about our little retention area?
I'd say that's low.
Going up, we can probably put this all in one. We do have the far west. Let me get my cursor here. West Bluff Drive area where the morgue is at too. This parcel right here. We do get requests for it. We have 2 active permits on it. But they're always a trim and reviews looking this. Like I said, looking this way.
We do have the new, bluff management best practices, right?
Yes, but that we could follow for this. It's recommended for private residents, but yes, we can follow that for that. So that's a good point. We do have that.
Right.
We don't have any
runoff issues.
It's,
We don't
to
lose-
manage the interests of those above and those below. And so it's, yeah, don't tap a tree because it's guaranteed to kill it and, yeah. We have a link on the website if
Yep.
anybody wants.
Yeah, because we don't want any erosion issues and we just went through that. We need to be careful. And that high there, it's pretty steep.
And this, this is the age old thing. There's a lot of box elders and kind of junky trees in there, but they help hold the
They're
slope, so.
So priority level.
What do you guys think? I would say it's kind of high,
Mhm.
high, medium or high.
And how about I put we have another block too, and this is actually one right here.
Yeah.
And that's actually the one that's
I think it's skinny.
gonna get a little skinnier for the grading for the project. So this is grass, there's trees, some trees right here. So. There's really, we did have a couple property owners at one time request to trim some of these trees right here. And then we got our Spring Street. I would put those as high. It's not shown here, but our Spring Street right away where the bluff viewing platform is,
Oh, yeah.
I agree, yeah.
Mhm.
that should be high. That's where people actually come out to soak in a view.
I would say the skinny triangle might be high too.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna put all the bluff as high.
Yeah, below that viewing platform, they really cut in there.
They did.
Summer and right now it doesn't look all that great. A lot of that brush will probably grow up, but it looked like they really,
Well, what
I
happened?
worry about it really like
Yeah, so-
washing away.
So what happened there, Lisa, was that a couple years ago, someone trimmed when they weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
And we had them go back and remove the trees because they were gonna grow back, they were gonna grow back really bad. So that's why there's a lot. So then they have a plan together to do some plantings, as you see, there's some plantings there, and they have to go back and plant
Right,
some trees
yeah, I think that would be good, to replant it with some lower
lower. yeah.
bushes or shrubs. So that, you know, they could be pruned easily, but you'd still have the
Mhm.
bulk of them to hide all that. It looks really bare and naked.
It is, it's inside, so we got high in there.
Yes, so going up back to the Pfeffer property, Pfeffer well. As far as management, there's not much to manage, so,
Make it a little low.
yeah. Same thing I would say with DPW parcels up here, the fire authority.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
DPW and fire. And then finally, we got, for the big parcels, we have the Kiwanis Park parcel. My intent that should be high because there's a lot of different uses going on
It's a
there.
big resource for the city and with disc golf, and it's one of our biggest parks attractions, if you can believe it. In the summer, they get sometimes 200 people a day there.
It's huge. Oh, and I forgot about one parcel. That's on Hoyt,
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
saw that one square.
that has been talked about. It used to be water. But yeah, it's in the city limits. I did some research that parcel, even though it looks funky. It's on Pete's Run, and that Pete's Run subdivision is technically in the city limits. So,
No,
No kidding.
um, it is wooded, but it's. So we'll put Pete's Run as low.
Yep.
And we do have other properties outside of town. Obviously airport property, but that's the airport's managing that for whatever FAA regulations. We do have our substations, our substation, our new substation coming up, but that's all electric. Could be managed based on the needs of the electric department, so.
you
other
know
than
what,
that-
what I didn't see on here though is School Beach.
Yeah, because that was a right of way. This didn't highlight right of ways.
Oh, yeah.
There are trees along one side.
Yeah, and where the kayaks are.
Yeah.
Don't know, but I've been trimming some of the bushes that are actually from Colonial because they come into where the kayaks are hanging and they're going into the kayaks. So I have been trimming those, but yeah, that would be something.
What do you want? Low, medium?
Yeah.
Medium.
Medium.
I would say medium.
It's not
It's
big.
a small space.
Yeah.
Well, that's actively,
It's well used, yeah.
But it's huge.
Heavily used.
And this is Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Sneaky Beach.
That's not
No,
sneaky.
that's-
because
No,
that's
that's,
Washington Street.
That's the
Yeah,
one
right
where
in
we
my
have,
drive.
oh yeah, that's the one where we have a bench there.
Yeah,
You come down, we have a bench.
yeah. There's like 4 parking spaces there.
Yeah,
And then Sneaky Beach is further up.
further down.
Further up.
I would call that low.
Yeah.
Yeah, both low.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you recommend for next steps then, Victor?
Well, what I'll do is I'll categorize, break these all up. And then we'll take the high ones with them first and then start making your goals for each of those parks and then put those goals together and then staff can work on planning. So I think that's what I'll do is we work on the high ones next time. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties listed as high.
Are you gonna put that in a little summary that you
Yep.
could send to us for the next meeting?
Yep.
And then, I think it might be a good idea to do like a little report to council on what we're doing, because they did approve, going forward with this city managed approach.
Yeah, let's wait till we have a little more information. I think.
Yep.
I'll be comfortable waiting for that.
Might be good to take the high ones and you guys either go together or go on your own. Just go
That's-
check them out. So you kind of have, high ones.
I can let you know right now, so you guys. Harbor View Park. Right next to the pickleball courts. Child's Park, kind of by Marina. South Zorn South. All are bluff parcels, so viewing platform, Triangle and
Westwood.
West Bluff. And then the other high one was Kiwanis Park. So that's 5.
And then if there's any more comments you want to add, Ken?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what we want to do is when you go there, see like, all right. Well, if it's views, like say what, there's a view you want to see, enhanced or preserved, or if there's a safety issue, note down that safety issue, maybe. I think that. All right. Should we move on really quickly?
And I wonder if we want, I'll touch base with Rachel on this too, because there's many of these.
Yeah, they are, yeah. Should
If
be.
he has any input.
I think maybe when we go through all this too, it'd be worthwhile having a joint Parks Tree Board meeting, just to talk about.
Yeah.
Trees with the parks.
Good. That'd be good.
Yeah,
Okay, should we move on to the next discussion item, which is the survey?
Yeah, so based on our conversation last time, I have eight or so questions. Survey questions that we can ask the public. First 3 are basic demographic, where you live, seasonal versus year round, and age. I don't know if there's any other demographics you want to see. I don't think it's a huge deal, but. And the 4th question is, have you heard of the following programs, policy, events, or activities? I have Tree Board, the Donate a Tree Program, Vegetation Management Policy, Arbor Day Fest, Tree Canopy Articles, Street Tree Planting Application, and City Tree Plan. Is there anything else? I imagine this being just a checkbox. Is there anything else you guys can think of?
I'll go ahead. I just had one thing, and I don't know what's involved in this, but what do you guys think about changing the name of the city tree plan to the tree master plan? I don't know if tree plan sounds kind of trivial and somebody might not want to bother looking at it, or a master plan.
We could eventually change it, maybe but for right now, that's what it's called.
Okay.
That's the document.
And I had a couple others that might be good, the
Yeah.
street tree plan,
Oh, yes, that's right.
and then tree.
That's different from the street.
Yeah, I see why you're saying that.
That's an application though, right? Like
Okay.
if you want, street
Or
tree
you
plan
do
is
have to
actually,
do it.
what?
If you were a business, you'd have to fill out an application.
Yes, the application is kind of a different animal than the street tree. And then what about Tree City USA?
That's what I was thinking of. How many people realize that?
So now I see why you want to call the city tree master plan, so it's not confused with street tree plan.
Yeah, we got a lot of tree plans out there.
All right.
I don't know if we have to do we have to change something in the bylaws, or I don't know.
No, there's
How
nothing in the bylaws,
complicated
but it's
it would
just, it's not a big deal, but maybe for the survey purposes, I can call it tree
Okay,
master plan.
And I wanted to, while tree canopy articles is up there, we were talking about maybe our next article is about the survey. And would anybody like to do it? Regular article?
Put it in a paper and encourage people to take the survey.
Yeah, we have a column that,
You can do that.
Wait a minute, we might have some interest here.
Yeah.
good.
That'd be a
Okay.
great way to do
I can
it.
help you with it if you like.
Okay,
And do you want me to send you like the format of some of our previous tree canopy articles?
yes,
So it's kind of like a column about tree board.
okay,
And
Yeah,
it's in
It's like
the,
a 1 page, not even this 1 page, doesn't have to be that long.
is it once a month?
So,
other one.
Oh, every other month.
Generally, yeah,
that'd be awesome, yeah.
loosely. Yeah, that'd be great. And then,
I'll get the links. But we'll talk about that. Let's go through the questions.
sure.
Number 5, are you done with number 4? Do we have any other? Okay, number 5. We talked about what people find are most important about planting trees in the city. So SurveyMonkey, you can categorize this as most important, somewhat not important. So these are actually taken from our tree plan, where we find as tree values: aesthetics, wildlife habitat, air quality, weather, road control, property values, human health, recreation, economic development, sense of community, and safety.
So I
So,
can think of anything else.
yeah, all right, good.
Yep.
And then 6, what type of information about trees would you be are interested in learning more about. Rules about trees on public property, how to prune, trim trees, what types of trees are best for my property, right tree, right place kind of thing, and tree board activities and events. Anything else?
How do I know when my tree is dead? So I guess that would be.
Well, we could make number.
Well, that's a good question.
Trim and maintain trees on my property. So
You
you
could
could
tell
have.
if my tree is healthy, yeah, or maybe,
Oh, yeah, no, identifying healthy and diseased trees.
Right, because we had some people down by, the marina park, or the marina condos, and she's like, oh, these trees are dead, they need to come out. And they weren't, I mean.
No, they
they're not.
weren't.
So.
Lucas
yeah,
and
that
Ben
might
both
be
went
good.
down there and saw that.
Yeah, the health of trees or something like, yeah. you can
Well,
use it.
and that's very important too, because sometimes people do come with us requests to remove trees based on they're not healthy. We send Ben down there and he's like, well, they are, it's just,
But they need to maintain.
but someone wants to get rid of the tree, so they say they're not healthy.
Right. Or they want a different.
Yeah, they want
that's
to.
code for I want to help you.
Yeah,
Number 7 is indicate where the city should focus more of its efforts from most to least important. So we have 4 there. Educating residents about trees, planting new trees, maintaining our current tree canopy, and then creating policies and ordinance to regulate tree trimming. This will kind of give the city and tree board some direction, see if, where the priority is, because we talk about often here, we always talk about, what's more important, planting trees or maintaining trees, and we know it's a balance, but do people think we have already enough trees? Then finally,
I think it's good, yep.
and finally, number 8 is if they're interested in volunteering, donate, they can leave their voluntarily and leave their name and email address so we can contact them.
That's good.
I only have a typo.
Yeah.
Please, I would just say, please provide your. Instead of,
Yeah, that makes. Please provide your name.
when I say volunteer for a tree.
Tree, I would say,
Tree project or,
tree event, tree activities, yeah.
and I
We
guess,
have kind of a list of like when we have our, like who we. can
right, but maybe it's volunteering to
Expand on
help with the tree or something. Yeah, what are you asking to volunteer about?
I like just leaving it open.
You do?
Yeah.
Just leave it and they'll know what it is?
I have a really radical idea. I
Okay.
wanna,
Let's go ahead.
a radical idea I want to put on the table. So you know how people like to criticize the city for having everything online and left on online or on Facebook. This is such a short survey. What if we incorporated the survey questions in Henry's article? It'll make it a little bit longer this one time, but then, if we see we get a lot of like people cut it out and mail it in or something,
Yeah,
then we'll
we
know
do
once
that
and for all that is not a road that, it's gonna be a good road.
but it would be the only option for the survey or?
No, we would still do the QR code. Yeah, and
Thinking about that, Anna.
I know,
Uh-huh.
why don't we
I'm
think, you wanna think
yeah,
about it?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that is how many people are gonna cut it out? We're gonna say cut this out and return it.
Or,
Well,
well,
if
but
you
do you
don't-
wanna make them come to City Hall to get a copy, or I
So
just,
I'll be frank with you, out of all the surveys we've done, and we invite people to come in and do a copy. Here, we've only had one person ever fill it out in person. With handwritten. One person, everyone for the most part will take it online or sometimes they need our help showing them how to do it, but. And most people take our surveys are over 65 too, so I mean, it's not an
Yeah.
age. I don't,
they're pretty well educated.
I don't think, based on my experience, I don't think people are. It's easier, it's more convenient for them to actually just do it online than do it by pen and paper.
So if for sure you put it in the article that there's going to be a
Yes,
survey,
absolutely.
and you can either go to City Hall and get it, or you can do it
Yeah.
online, I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
A lot of people are only registered to Harbor Light digital.
Right.
Some people get it. in
yeah, and
person.
some of the people that you might be missing online aren't getting the paper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Just so much.
the best way to do a survey, the best absolute way to do a survey is probably the most expensive way. It costs $8 to $10 per survey is to send a physical copy of it. They have to fill it out by hand, then they submit it to you, then you tabulate it with the machine. Spend a staff hour. That way you know that the person filling it out is a person who's access. But that's the most expensive. I think you get a bigger bang for your buck.
Yeah.
We're trying to just get a general idea. Yeah. This is, it's,
I don't know, we
with
just.
all surveys, what we say with all surveys is a guide. It's a guide, it's not determinative of what we should or shouldn't do. You know, every board takes the survey results, they combine it with your guys' expertise or your guys' opinions, because you're the board members, public input, and then what staffs, you combine all that together to create your plans and your ideas, so I think, yeah, your surveys could be done a lot better for a lot more money, but for what we want out of them, I really think we're gonna get probably anywhere between 50 and 100 responses, and that'll be.
So we'll post this on Facebook, post it on,
Website will go on the
about the
Harbor Light,
front page of the website.
it'll go in our newsletter, our January newsletter,
We could do a blurb, and well, we'll have our article in the paper. We also could do a little public service thing. I'm sure Charles will let us do one. Okay,
and you guys also can send it to your friend group.
I'm wondering, since Henry will be
Master,
writing the article, that might
get some students to take
get
it.
some students.
That finished your
No,
sentence.
that's exactly what I was thinking, which would be great. What do you think?
maybe a little project, you can share it with your teacher to, your teachers at school.
Promote, get them to take it, the survey.
Well, we could put it in the school paper too, right? Newspaper.
Yeah, so yeah, you could. Sure.
Okay, well, let's start with the article. Right, when do we want to try and have this done for? I hate to. have to work
I'm
on
not
it
gonna-
for-
We are off the next 3 days, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, so I probably won't have it till the first week of January ready, so the survey, so.
I'm thinking about the tree canopy article.
Right, but you don't want the article to go out before the survey is
No, I'm trying to think about, what was our last article? I'm blanking.
October?
Was it about Arbor Day?
ready. Yeah,
I bet it was, Teresa wrote it.
it's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, it has been.
It'll probably go out mid-January, so you guys have a month to work on it.
Okay.
Is that sound doable?
I'll get the questions to you next week, and the end of next week. And you can decide.
Do you do like a board contact sheet to send to everybody with phone numbers and emails? Rachel does for parks,
Oh, to send the board members?
of all the new board members for 2025.
Yeah, you should all have each other's emails, but Bob Toma's only new one.
Mhm.
Because you're on the email list.
Okay, you got my emails.
Yeah, it's all, on the emails I send out, you guys are on the same email chain, so you should be able to see it that way. Tom, any suggestions of the survey?
Not a big fan of surveys, but you do learn something.
You do learn, I mean, there's,
Yeah.
The guide,
yeah,
if they're checking the temperature of what people around are thinking.
we're very, where surveys are most important, as probably some of you might know, is where there's not a gray area, where it's 90% of the people, 80% of the people feel a certain way. If it's like 60-40, you don't know exactly how the whole, but if it's, if 85% of the comments come back, say, then you know, all right. That's absolutely,
We may find there's many more people out there interested in trees than you would think.
well,
Based on attendance.
yeah, and I think what's very valuable with some of the questions, like, how well are we doing communicating what we do? If we get, question number 4, if only 10% of the people heard about some of the stuff we do, then it's,
Now, there's no place on the survey for people to write
yeah, do you want an open-ended response?
something that, they may have concerns that we haven't thought of.
Yeah, I think.
Any
that's a
other,
good
so maybe
idea.
any other comments?
Yeah,
questions?
yes. I think that's a great idea.
All right.
Okay, I just had a couple comments about the January meeting. So we'll have a lot of stuff to do, the orientation of new members, meeting dates for the year, election of officers. You guys can be thinking about that. Then usually we do our project matrix in January, Victor.
Mhm.
And so that's where we look at all the projects we might want to think about for the year and prioritize them. So bring any ideas that you have for something that might be good to work on. Right? And let's see, we start thinking about what we want to put in the tree report. So every year we give a report to council on what we got accomplished in the last year and then what we'll be working on in the future.
And when is that submitted, Deanna?
Usually
We'll
March,
generally,
April,
March, April,
May, early spring.
when we get it done, basically. And then I thought we maybe could start some ideas for tree canopy and have a little calendar for that. So bring ideas for that, and it can be anything about trees, anything about trees. We've sometimes highlighted specific tree species like sugar maple or, things that are native here. And then this is a new one for this year. So the Petoskey Harbor Springs Community Foundation has a twice a year grant cycle. So I don't know if our project would or would not be a good match for that, but we can have that in our mind.
Which project?
Well, that's would be the
Oh,
discussion, I
okay, all
guess.
right, I thought you had
Yeah.
specific.
And then I think we also need to be careful that we aren't competing with parks, but we don't apply every cycle.
Or maybe it's a joint project that
Could be a
parks are
joint
thinking about
project.
and trees
Yeah.
are thinking about, because that could be more money that you can do something more, maybe that's.
Good thought, yeah. And that is all I have. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about?
All right.
Good. Everybody have a great holiday. Thank you.
Our next meeting is when?
The date,
It is January 17th, 2025, yes, it says 2024.
That's why.
See you guys in the past. Time
Yeah.
travel.
Good.